Okay, so to start off with the cooling system overhaul, start off with removing the air inlet for the filter. Set that aside. Okay, so now to take off the radiator fan, use 32 millimeter with the holding adapter bracket. And that goes onto the screws for the actual pulley. And then you do right, I already broke it loose, you do right because it's reverse thread. And now that you broke it loose, you can go ahead and take the fan off. Just be careful, once it gets close to the edge, you don't drop it. You don't want to break the fins. Okay, next I'm going to remove the coolant reservoir. You don't have to. You can pull out the whole thing, but first things first, pop off the retaining clip. That goes right there. Next, remove the hose clamp. That's right here in the bottom. Remove the hose clamp. That goes to the lower reservoir hose. You will lose coolant if you haven't already drained it out. This is so much easier once you've took out the fan for the radiator. A little bit more. And this one's brand new, so and you will lose coolant. So you got that out of the way. Next thing you do is you pull it forward, and there's one last hose right there. Go ahead and get this. And then one last thing is electrical connection right there. Careful, don't try pulling it out before you disconnect that. It's got a little tab, pull, and there you go. There's coolant reservoir. Okay, so with that removed, now if you look down, let it focus, you can see there is below the coolant reservoir is actually a air sensor, or a sensor that connects to the fan shroud. So we're going to remove the radiator and the fan shroud next. So let's pull that out so we can go ahead and get it removed. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do isn't actually in order of the book, but I'm going to do it because I'm going to replace the entire radiator and hoses. I'm going to go ahead and unhook the top hose from the housing unit for the water pump, as well as the lower radiator hose, which is down there. I'm going to go ahead and detach it here because I have all new pieces before I do the fan shroud and remove the radiator. Real quick, for those who don't know, a lot of the coolant systems for these have a clip style connector, so you get a screwdriver, you can actually lift it up, and that's how it actually connects a lot of the components. So you see how it's loose? You just take your time. If you're planning on reusing this hose, take your time, be careful, try not to break it, because these do break, they are brittle, but if you go nice and easy, these will pop off and you could reuse them. If not, FCP actually had the kit that I purchased that had everything, hoses, radiator. I did have to buy the water pump separate, but in all, I think everything was only about $350 for entire cooling system overhaul. Not bad. So if you see, I've got that hose disconnected right there, as well as that hose disconnected. Now it looks like down here, just looks like there's one last connector. If I can get down to show you guys. Looks like that connector for the bottom hose unit is the last connection. Should be able to pull that out electrically. It's the last electrical connector, and then I can start pulling out the radiator. Okay, now that we've got the electrical connections done, I'm going to go ahead and with an 8mm remove the top bracket. It's right there, as well as right there. We're also going to be taking off plastic clip right there, as well as another one right there. And with some persuasion, it will come out. I have my drain under. There we go. And now we can go ahead and hook up the new one and put it in. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the water pump. First thing we're going to need to do is remove the serpentine belt that's on there. And for that, there's a 13mm right here, and a 13mm right here. If you loosen those up, that will release tension, so then you can actually take off the belt. And that goes to this tensioner right here. If you grab, I believe it's a 17mm. There's that big nut right there. That will allow you to tighten as well as loosen the belt off of the unit. There you go. The belt is off. Be sure to take a picture though before you take off the belt. That way, in case you forget how it goes originally, you can use that as reference. Next, we're going to go ahead and remove the pulley, which is some 10mm. Hold on. Break those loose. And go ahead and pull off the pulley. Just be careful because these do have a washer on them. Try not to lose that. Like that. Just lost one. Damn it. There we go. Alright, now we got that pulley off. The next thing we're going to do is remove the coolant sensor for the thermostat. As well as another one connection for the cooling system right there. And then there's one more hose connected down there. One more hose, sorry about that. There's another hose connected right here, but that one was actually originally for the reservoir tank. So That being said, you're now ready to unbolt the water pump. And so if we're going to be doing just the thermostat, there's 4 bolts right here. This is the thermostat housing itself. You would just take those bolts out. You could replace the thermostat. The only thing to be careful of is if there's an arrow pointing in a specific direction from the original, make sure you replicate that to have it pointing in the upwards position. Other than that, that would be pretty much it. Everything else would be just in the reverse order. Just be careful if you have an O-ring in there, make sure you replace it with a new one, and then just be careful with those 2 pipes in the back over there. Make sure those don't come out of the very far back of the engine. Other than that, you'll be good.